Welcome to TradeTheNBI.com. This is John's report. This is for the 19th of July. Well, again, we saw it as we began to see magenta dip below yellow and also below the 33 level, which is that cyan line you see right here. See that Friday dipped down to 23.99 from the previous day up to 35, and of course once across below the EBM yellow, which sat at 43.36. Below that, we knew it would be a negative situation. What was more compelling was that while it's supported on the EBM magenta, once futures opened and dipped below that, more selling took place and really started to accelerate going into here. And this is nothing unexpected because we were looking for added volatility within this setup. And that's exactly what we're getting. And we finally have also the white NBI moving above red, which are all the catalysts for a sell signal. And that started out with futures open. A little less dramatic on the NASDAQ, still supporting slightly above its magenta. But now if it breaks below the 76% here, I think that would create a much bigger drain on the S&P as well. So that's going to be an area to watch. And this all fits with what we were seeing as we were getting well, if you look at that one, the lower shakeouts on the NASDAQ here as we started to go down. Higher highs, lower shakeout, it's always a recipe for price to move down on a sell signal. Now the degree that it's going to continue, that's going to be really a tougher one because of the Fed. So all we have to do is just watch the indicators to see if they're supporting it within, and doesn't seem to be any reason that they would need to at this point. I mean, this isn't really significant enough decline in any way, shape, or form to really result in anything catastrophic as far as that goes. However, we talked about this, the first 2 weeks of July being typically more bullish and then moving into a little bit more downside action as the summer begins to heat up, so to speak. Within that, gold always gets a little bit of pressure when you see market sell-off, and the indicators were already reading that it was slightly under pressure here as we started to have the breakdown just a day or so ago. Nothing overly dramatic. In fact, we're getting a severe drop in the white NBI right here, so unless that pivots back up dramatically, you're probably not going to see much of a decline there. And from a euro standpoint, strength in the dollar, because obviously we're still not through the period of euro weakness, and that's simply because while the U.S. keeps moving forward, the EU economies as well as their COVID practices keep moving backwards, and that's resulting in people realizing that still the best investment is U.S. equities. The continued saga of Bitcoin and its strain well below 50% below its peak values here, and as we pointed out from our daily charts, same with Ethereum and that they were headed for lows. So still looking to break below that 30,000 level. We'll see if that continues to take place. It's just a matter of following what takes place on a daily, but pretty consistent every time we get the white NBI spikes above magenta, and then the crossovers, we see prices move back to that 0%. And so nothing's changed with that. Doesn't mean that there still aren't buy signals within it, but overall we've been in a significant downturn. Now from an ES standpoint, you can see where the futures started out. We had the first peak right before the end of the day, and then right as the day was ending, we were in another spike, which was calling for a zero. And so literally at the close and in the beginning of futures open, we've had white NBI riding above most of that, resulting in a move back to the zero. If we look at the Friday's action, I mean, when you see this blue line to blue line, that's the entire day. Not a very big volume day. So kind of selling on light volume. If we start to see a pickup here, which we're already getting, almost a fifth of the day, in the pre-market right now that we had all of Friday. If that starts to increase and continue even before the open, then we may even have a pre-market that exceeded all of Friday's action. That would be more significant from a tell standpoint. So we'll continue to follow that one. Did want to point out some of the correlation things that I look for, particularly when we get down in these bottoms and we get some of these buy configurations that stay within that 23% Morganacci line, and then you see the falling 100% levels. The separation that I usually look for and have been working on recently and putting into the calculations is the difference between getting those signals under negative shakeout versus positive, as well as negative where we're below the 13 versus above. And those tend to be critical catalysts in determining whether or not you see a significant spike, particularly like we talked about this where DOC steel needing to at least reset towards the zero before you see any movement. Here it did it, and then that led to actually the largest increase before it rolled over again. And then when it did roll over, every time we were getting even the modest dip of orange, we were doing so within negative shakeout and white MBI, coupled with the fact that when the magenta stays below this 20 level, in fact, I think right here we can put it, this is all language that I'm putting in there, it's 1926. Those tend to not survive. So while the correct indication with the magenta coming above, you can clearly see that it's not going to be able to sustain itself, and then it continues there. And so as I make those adjustments, it just gets clearer and clearer with our paint bar, and that's the idea. It just gives added security in knowing exactly where that trend fall is going to be. So we'll just keep with it and looking good. As always, though, we were expecting this added volatility, and I don't really think this is all that significant, but it's certainly a huge improvement over the last couple of weeks than we saw in June. So it's makes for nice opportunities. As always, though, I will keep updating on Skype chat. Trade well. We'll talk to you later.